everyone, welcome back to Kevin Reviews. I just finished watching for the first time Yu-Gi-Oh! The movie, or Yu-Gi-Oh! The Pyramid of Light. This is by 4Kids Entertainment and Konami Digital Entertainment. This is directed by Hatsuki Tsuji. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Written by Matthew Drdek, um, by Lloyd, Goldfine, and Norman J. Grossfeld. The cast includes Dan Green, who plays our main character Yugimoto, uh, Eric Stuart says Seto Kaiba, Amy Birnbaum as a friend of Yugi's named Taya, uh, Gregory Abbey as Tristan, another friend of Yugi, and finally we have Wayne Grayson plays Joey Wheeler, another friend of Yugimoto. So first off, I I am probably not qualified to talk about this particular movie, and this is, you could argue, technically the first anime film I'm reviewing for this channel. But I mean, I reviewed K-pop Demon Hunters, that uses anime style, so I could, you know, it probably doesn't count, but I guess I could say this is the first 2D anime film I'm reviewing. So I did grow up with Yu-Gi-Oh, but I only got to about two seasons, including Duelist Kingdom and the Battle City tournament, along with that one spinoff where they're entering this virtual world. I know for newcomers this is hard to explain, but suffice to say, um, after that I didn't really watch the rest of it, other than like separate episodes or moments in the show. Like later on, they face off some emperor in Atlantis that uses a card called a sealed card Calcos that takes people's souls. And then later we get a flashback answers regarding this entity called the Pharaoh that looks a lot like our main character Yugimoto. That hopefully has the answers, and that closes the arc. And then, of course, because of that popularity of that series, it spanned to different series, including Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. And around the time at Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, that's when I kind of dropped. It. I did initially drop from the original series after around season 2, but you know, yeah, I did catch a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, but that's about it. Um, I didn't watch this a lot on TV. And nor did I was into into the card game. I wasn't even into the Pokemon card game or the Pokemon anime. Um, I wasn't in Magic the Gathering. I wasn't into those things. I think the closest anime I mainly watched was Digimon, and I that's probably another anime I could probably talk about later. But in any case, yeah, I wasn't into it. But I will say, feel free to continue watching the review. I'll do my best to explain the story, both in the anime series, which I'll get to here in a bit, as well as the and the movie. But I suggest if you want to know more about the series or about the movie itself, um, I mean, the show is available on Amazon Prime if you or if are signed up for it. In terms of reviews, I can say is check out Cvit, who does everything wrong with Yu-Gi-Oh! The Pyramid of Light. Because I'll get in that why particularly that one, as well as the custom card guy who does his own honest review of Yu-Gi-Oh! The Pyramid of Light. So I will do my best. I'm not the prob again. I'm not probably not qualified to talk about it. Talk about this, nor probably any much of the anime stuff, because I've seen plenty of anime, but I'm not a ton of anime to be a huge expert on it. So forgive me if I get certain details wrong. But first of all, first off, I do want to go into the series because I think it plays a part in the film, somewhat. But I want to explain it because in case you are not familiar with the show, any newcomers or people who are not familiar with the show, I try to do my best to explain. But in ancient Egypt, there was a time where ancient Egyptians were playing these dual monsters games, or shadow games, where you got these monster cards, trap cards, spell and magic cards, or spell cards, to help win certain games by dropping your opponent's life points. But in any case, they use these monsters to, win and conquer till it gets out of control. The monsters started becoming real somehow through magic, through like this other place called the Shadow Realm, which is like a purgatory or hell. Um, but in any case, the Pharaoh, who looks a lot like our main character protagonist Yugimoto, seals it away, and then it's separated into these Millennium items, which I won't go into. But the main Millennium item that's the focus is the Millennium Puzzle that looks like a pyramid with a hieroglyphic type looking eye, which is separated into pieces. But Yugi managed to assemble it and unlock the powers, including the Pharaoh's spirit. So, and then we have Duelist Kingdom. He had to go against Maximilian Pegasus, the creator of Duel Monsters, um, to save his grandpa's soul because Maximilian Pegasus has a Millennium item. There's another thing that involving Seto Kaiba, played by Seto Kaiba, who is Yugi's rival. In the first episode, especially, Yugi managed to defeat Seto Kaiba. Seto Kaiba was considered the champion, the best dual monster player of all time. So Yugi takes his throne and became the king of games. So Yugi goes to Duelist Kingdom, defeats Maximilian Pegasus. Then he goes to Kaiba's tournament involving Battle City, where he has to try to find these 3 Egyptian god cards that include Slifer the Sky Dragon, Obelisk the Tormentor, and the Winged Dragon of Ra. So he's trying to defeat, Kaiba, who wants to get his title back, and also defeating another villain known as Merrick. And he's supposed to be the best villain of the series. I won't go into much detail, but suffice to say that that Yugi managed to win the championship and get 3 Egyptian god cards. And that's as far as I'm going to go, because after that, the film does take place after the Battle City tournament. And, truthfully, there's a big problem with the film now because this released before that arc ended. So a lot of fans who were fans of the show were spoiled by this particular movie. Um, so yeah, there's that probably gets you an idea. But let's get into my review of Yu-Gi-Oh! The movie, or Yu-Gi-Oh! The Pyramid of Light from 2004. So the story goes in Yu-Gi-Oh! The movie is after the events of Battle City, the City Tournament, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is considered not Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know why I'm saying Yu-Gi-Oh! But Yugimoto is played by Dan Green, as well as the spirit of the Pharaoh, also played by Dan Green. Um, are famous now, and even duelists are out to get them to prove that they can take down the Yugi, the King of Games, and as well as his 3 Egyptian god cards. But Seto's looking to reclaim his title again, and he's trying to find anything that would take them down. So he figures he goes to see Maximilian Pegasus, who created the game as well as created the Egyptian god cards, and managed to get these 2 cards. But what Kaiba is unaware and is too stubborn and hot-headed to realize, the cards he got had to relate to a ancient entity known as Anubis, a sorcerer who was about to bring the end of the world with dual monsters, but the pharaoh stopped him, and now with this thing called the Pyramid of Light, and I Pyramid Light's really complicated to explain, but it steals someone's energy overall. But in any case, Anubis is trying to come back, and he tries to make Kaiba do his bidding for him. And yeah, there's a duel involved, and Yugi has to save the world, really. So yeah, man, I just had to, this is not an easy movie to sit through, because not only do I have to explain the anime show, which is pretty confusing, convoluted, and I have to try to make it simple. This is just as even convoluted convoluted and really not that interesting. This isn't even canon really, because this isn't that great, honestly. I don't hate the film necessarily, but I definitely don't enjoy it, don't like it. And that's a lot of it is because the film is more like a stretched out 30-minute episode of the series um that really didn't need it didn't wasn't needed um overall. And it's the story is completely underwhelming and underdeveloped, and including the villain is very boring. Anubis is very boring. I mean, he has a neat, okay design, but he's just another generic villain who wants to destroy or rule the world or whatever. He's just the bad guy. And unfortunately, Anubis is kind of not in the movie that much. I mean, the physical form at least, because for the majority of the time, we just hear him chanting. We see magical images. We see the Pyramid of Light, which is like the flip side of Yugi's Millennium Puzzle. Um, that's yeah. Um, but the main focus is on Seto Kaiba because he really wants to be able to take back his title from Yugi. And if you did not watch the show, because frankly, the show develops Kaiba a little bit better despite his, attitude or stubbornness, pigheadedness, and whatnot, you're going to hate Kaiba in this because that's all he focuses on is trying to defeat Yugi with everything he can. He tests everything he can. And again, if you're not familiar with the show, you're gonna hate Kaiba, I think, because he can be pretty obnoxious in this one. If I'm looking at the eyes of someone who hasn't seen the show, so there's that, and there's some continuity errors, like Maximilian Pegasus is in this, and they mentioned this thing going on with his eye, like he has this Millennium Eye that lets him see people's cars. That was in Duelist Kingdom, and now it's gone. If you going in, you don't know that, you're going to be more confused. Um, there's a moment in the duel between Seto Kaiba and Yugi where, excuse me, where Kaiba says that Yugi's never defeated his. He has these three blue eyes white dragons, the most powerful, one of the more powerful aside from the Egyptian god cards, but the most powerful cards in the game. And Yugi already defeated the dragons in the Battle City tournament. So where did that come from? I will say the introduction of the narration of like Anubis as well as what happened in Battle City is not written very well. It's not explained very well either, and it's very cheesy at times. Even the opening regarding Anubis is so bad. I mean, even talking about like Yugi's trying to assemble the puzzles, like it's supposed to be locked away forever, but forever is not not true or whatever. I don't remember the lines, but it's very cheesy. And even the more dialogue, it comes from like moments that seem out of nowhere. There's Joey's friends, not Joey's friends, Yugi's friends, like Joey Wheeler, played by Wayne Grayson, who has these really bad lines of references to the Godfather because he thinks himself as the Godfather of Duel Monsters. It's so bad. There's these weird. There's like one weird scene where he's fighting, where he takes on a duelist and a monster is like this fairy in the needle. I'm familiar with this particular monster. I don't remember what the name is, but Fairy Lily, I think. And she has this needle that basically goes up um, Joey's poop chute. Really, it's so bizarre, so out there. It doesn't seem like it should belong, but there it is. Sometimes even the cards just seem to come to life, and yeah, that's the idea. The cards do at one point later on do come to life, and even then I'm kind of lost there, but whatever. regardless, yeah, there's a lot of inconsistencies. I think there's a lot more inconsistencies between this film and the show that I'm not probably well versed to do. Um, there's also the issue with the animation. Um, Now, granted, I don't think it's terrible by any means, but I do notice there at times the quality of the animation does tend to shift from good to pretty bland or average at times. There's kind of inconsistencies. The colors are kind of bright and loud. Didn't really that bother me that much. Other times the characters look like they're flash animation or kind of cutouts, not rather than have really any depth in their designs or look more like 3D realistic. So, um, and I actually had to look that up because I had to figure out what was going on with the animation, because this animation is by, I have to look this up, Studio Gallop, who did the original series. And I've read that there were some animation changes overall. Like, it was originally Studio Gallop who did it, but then they had to switch to animation studio. It was a Korean animated studio. So I don't know. The film really is made for American audience, even though it was made in Japan. Um, and it does feel like a commercial, because even when the film released in theaters, it it was they were offering Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Unfortunately, the film did not do well in the box office. It bombed at the box office. Um, and it was considered, and I will say this was considered at the time to be one of the worst animated films of all time, at only 5% from critics and 50% from audiences, but mostly that's for the fans. And that's the idea. This is mostly for the fans. So, I gotta pause here, sorry. Yeah, so this was considered one of the worst animated films, and eventually its throne was taken by this 2006 film called Happily Never After. I haven't seen it before, so it got like 4% as from critics, so that's from Rotten Tomatoes, so that's considered the worst. Um, but yeah, this I don't think this is a great film, but I don't think it's terrible. Again, if you've seen the show, you might get through it okay. You might get through even the four kids dialogue. And granted, I have a soft spot for the first two seasons, even though it's written by it's the dialogue, the English dialogue specifically, is by four kids, and it is very cheesy. It comes off with these one-liners. It's goofy at times. Uh, there is a moment. There's the censoring, especially, is laughably bad, because there's a moment where well, there's several moments actually, but the infamous finger guns, because there's supposed to be a gun in like one of the uh, like in one instance a security guard's hand, but that was censored entirely. Um, but yeah, their Four Kids is pretty notorious for that, and I have a soft spot for that particular anime. But as I'm watching this fresh, new, as an adult, it's very cringeworthy. It's not. I don't really think this is worth your time, but because especially since it's non-canon, it does bring in some new cards. I mean, the cards at least look kind of cool, and um, even give it some credit that, if I remember correctly, a lot of the times in the anime show they don't show like the text on the cards. And this one in this movie it does. So I got to give it credit there. Um, but yeah, it's but yeah. Otherwise, I don't know. If you really seen the show, you probably have a soft spot. You'll probably like this okay. But if you have not seen the show, you're very likely going to hate it because of how the story is underdeveloped. It doesn't really explain or catch you up, right? Because if you haven't seen the show, you're not going to know what's going on. Even the film tries to explain that and doesn't do it very well. It kind of just does it through these montage involving what happened in season two, and you can see the animation kind of differ greatly. Um, but yeah, um, I think I overall I'm gonna give this a two. It's not great, but it's not like the worst I've ever seen. But it's definitely not one I would see again, to be perfectly honest. But if you're a fan of Yu-Gi-Oh, I think you'll like this fine um, overall. But yeah, for newcomers, stay away from this movie unless you want to see the show. But like I said, the show is the English for kids dub is there, and it's not. It's kind of it's okay to pretty cringy. So just fair warning of that. But yeah, what are your thoughts on Yu-Gi-Oh! The Pyramid of Light or Yu-Gi-Oh! The movie 2004? Leave in the comments below. Give a like or dislike the review if you wish. Feel free to subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell so you can be updated on any future reviews. And I will see you guys later for the next review.